What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Bet 'em and Pick 'em week number 5. I'm joined by Ricky Sanders, back from getting married, back from mini moon, back from just taking the world's longest vacation. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, the world's longest vacation. I could have extended that one tenfold. It still wouldn't have been long enough, but I'm doing good. And it's funny to come back to messages from Seige that, holy hell, who are you with these square picks? And I'm the guy who always is screaming from the mountaintops, like, we need to take underdogs. And I realized when I filled out my picks, there was only one, and I was on the island for that one, which I'm not quite sure. We could talk about that. But you and I were talking this morning, and you kind of talked me back into my regular self. It's like I had an out-of-body experience for a while.
Yeah, it's funny. It's as soon as you left, we started taking dogs, and then it's like you came back, and it's like everybody wants favorites. I'm like, what the hell happened here? We'll get there. First, let's talk about Survivor, because Survivor has definitely been the hot topic in our Twitter chat. Rob, who is not here today, was what do you want to say? Adamant, vocally supporting. Which do you think is the word you want to go with?
I think it was borderline adamant. I think that one works for me.
Yeah, he wanted the Vikings this week, and he got radio silence from me, you, Jeff Mans, Tyler. Didn't find any support anywhere. I'll start with what I personally like the Lions plus 9.5. That number makes no sense to me. Like, straight up makes none to me. I make it 4.5, and that's with a healthy Dalvin Cook. And that's not even happening. So, yeah, I don't like this number at all. We'll talk about that later. But there was no chance I had any interest in the Vikings this week. None.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what you've seen from them that would give you any sort of confidence. I guess like 14th in DVOA. There's no way that defense has looked that good, though. And I very much appreciate this year that Football Outsiders has basically DVOA with variation that they take into consideration, because if you take into consideration the variation and honestly just the eye test for this Vikings defense, I think the Lions are going to be able to move the football, and they've been below average when you take the variance into account. And I just haven't seen anything from the Vikings that suggests that this team should be like a 9-point favorite against anyone. I think the Lions do keep this closer. I've been pretty disappointed in the Vikings in the early going.
Yeah, the Lions offense, I acknowledge they had one of the biggest lull Lions moments last week, right? 1 for 5 in the red zone, 1 for 5 inside the 10-yard line. If they get 5 red zone possessions, they are not putting up a combined total of 7 points again.
Yeah.
You look at the Vikings, they've given up touchdowns on 70% of their red zone possessions this season.
Yeah, and the Lions personnel actually has some guys that help out Jared Goff. I mean, obviously you got DeAndre Swift in the short field, but I think Khalif Raymond has been sort of a surprise for a bunch of people. He's not the red zone guy, but he's the guy who could get them to the red zone against this Vikings defense that has had their issues covering, just about everyone. So I don't know. I'm not.
Don't get me wrong. The Lions secondary sucks too. I acknowledge that, right? But like, they're historically bad, but that implies that Kirk Cousins makes consistent mistakes and they call enough passing plays. This game screams the Lions are going to be up 10-0 very quickly. They're going to try to establish Cook on the first drive. He's going to be limited. They're going to punt. Lions put up points. Or, the Vikings get the ball, they put up, or the Lions get the ball, they put up points. Vikings punt, Lions put up points. And then suddenly it's now a one-dimensional game, and I don't want any part of it. The option we're going to go with on both teams here is the Patriots at the Texans. Davis Mills, they monitor success by, do they get the ball across midfield? Like, they're just awful. They're, under 1.5 touchdowns, Ricky, is minus 155. Minus 155. Like, we're getting 9 points in a 39 total. As much as Mac Jones hasn't been fantastic in the red zone, we saw this blueprint, right, against an overwhelmed Jets team. The Pats are going to put up 20 to 25 points, and that is going to be more than enough.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Bill Belichick against young quarterbacks time and time again. And I don't even think there's just that narrative built into this team. It's the fact that other than Brandon Cooks, this tight end or this Texans offense is one of the least talented offenses I've ever seen. Their team is probably worse than the NFL. And so you put Bill Belichick against just a bad team in general. I don't see why the Patriots don't win this one.
And they're 1-3. It's not like it's not like they beat the Bucs, right? And they're going to come out flat. Like, they need a win.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to come out and do one of they take care of business early off in games. So we'll be in with both entries on the Survivor on the New England Patriots -9 here. We don't need the 9. We just need them to win. But right. I just did not want the Vikings. I spearheaded this effort. So if this goes poorly, blame goes right here. So I was glad to see, though. Jeff Mans doesn't ever listen to me, and I listened to his podcast. It came out, and I just scrolled immediately to the Survivor section, and he said Patriots was number one pick, and that's when I knew that, like, all right, we're going to be good. I'm going to find the support that I need here, especially when the Vikings didn't even make his list of like 4 options. I was like, fantastic. Thank you. So Vikings will be popular this week, so we'll be definitely rooting for the Lions in more ways than one. Let's just start with that game since we're already there. You and I are on this game this week. I have it at 4 confidence. You have it at what do you have it at?
I think it was like 3 because I moved it over.
Okay. You're gonna have here it is. 3 confidence from Ricky. So that's 7 confidence points from us combined. I think this is too many points, and so this is one that we'll get it on a couple teams. I'm not sure how many we'll get them on, but we'll definitely get it on 1 or 2.
Yeah.
All right. Let's start with your Jets +3 here against the Falcons here. I get it. There's no Calvin Ridley. The question for me is, did the Falcons know they're going to be without Calvin Ridley the whole week? AKA, was this a non-vaccination thing? And they've built a game plan around this? Or did they really get caught off guard on Friday? I personally think they know this is coming.
Hold on. Because I'm pretty sure, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the Falcons were the first quote-unquote fully vaccinated team in the NFL. I remember seeing that report.
Yeah, but that's not true.
You think they just said you think they rounded up like I do sometimes? Like I'll say,
because there's been a lot of reports about like people having fake vaccination cards, and the NFL might not care in America, but you're not going to lie to a foreign government about a fake vaccine card.
I guess, but I don't know why they would go there. I don't know. I've heard like crazy stories that I can't even get into. So like I am definitely like, if I had to put my money down, my money is on he's not vaccinated, straight up. Like that's where my money would go. If you didn't have the before context, I would agree with that. But I just don't understand why they would come out and lie like that. Like if you're fully vaccinated, you're fully vaccinated.
Because if you're not, because it's like, oh, who's the holdout? And then like the reporters are just never going to stop. They're never ever going to stop, right?
I guess.
So I think that's what it is. I think we'll know more next week when the Jaguars and Dolphins go over there. If there's a personal issue on Friday, right? We'll now know what the first one was. Yeah. I just think the Falcons have been planning for this all week. Now, is that going to be good enough to stop them? I don't know. The Jets are coming off like a really good situation win against the Titans. The Titans were injury riddled and they had the home crowd behind them. It's not going to be like that in London. I still can't. I'm still scarred from that +10 against the Broncos that was dead on arrival. I know the Falcons have been rough, but Kyle Pitts is just going to have to get involved this week. I can't get here.
Yeah, but the reason that they were successful last week is Zach Wilson looked good. You mentioned that
he's a rookie, though. You go from looking good to looking terrible. You can't.
Of course, but this passing defense has made everyone look fantastic. I mean, you just look across the board at the positions. I mean, every single one is below average, other than like third receivers they cover at a league average rate. But otherwise, it's like bottom of the barrel against ones, bottom of the barrel against twos, bottom of the barrel against tight ends, bad against running backs. And Zach Wilson coming off a career 97 quarterback rating in that game, threw for almost 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, 62% completions. He's coming off on a high and now gets to face this defense, gets to face no Calvin Ridley. I just think the Jets keep this game close enough. And I definitely think, knowing the Falcons, even if they're winning, there's the chance for the backdoor cover. There's a chance for the Jets to win outright. I just think in the range of outcomes.
That's great. I'm just glad nobody else has any interest in this game, so I don't have to worry about it.
I don't know. I feel strongly about this one. So
so 3 confidence, Ricky. Let's calm down.
As I think more and more about it, I feel more.
I just think this is the Kyle Pitts explosion since I can't play him on a slate. Right, this is exactly how this goes. I play Kyle Pitts on every slate. He heads over to London, 10 catches, 150 yards, and 2 touchdowns. and I get all grumbly that I didn't get to make my money before it became popular again. This happens to me on a player every single
You'll have a
season.
showdown slate. You'll have a showdown.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure Kyle Pitts will be absolutely unowned on the shutdowns. It's exactly how this works. It happens to me on a player every year, and this is going to be it. Dolphins, Bucks, 10-point spread. We have no interest from anyone on either side, and that's right. Eagles, Panthers, Rob with interest of 2, Tyler with an interest of 2 on the Panthers. I'm a Panther supporter. I bet them to win the Super Bowl this week at 100-1. So I can definitely get behind this. I've already actually bet them for week 6. So this is I can get behind this pick. I could. I think the Panthers are good, and I don't think the Eagles are. So this is one I can get behind.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles defense has been just horrendous. So, I get it from that perspective. I just think Jalen Hurts is going to have a nice week this week. I mean, the Carolina defense has been awful at defending receivers. I think Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts duo in fantasy is one that I'm thinking of writing up tomorrow. So I'm thinking of this from a fantasy perspective.
Why? The Eagles suck. They're not good at football.
Their defense is not. I think their offense has been.
Why? Did you not see their offense against Dallas? It was terrible. Congratulations. They scored points on the Chiefs. Everyone's scoring points on the Chiefs.
They weren't awful against Dallas. I mean,
yes, they were.
And I'm still talking they lost handily because their defense gave up over 40.
Because they were on the field the entire game.
64%. I mean, I'm going basic numbers. I'd like to go for some deeper numbers here, but I mean, the Hurts numbers overall look good, which is why I think, he has another good week from that perspective. The question is it enough to make up for the bad defense? I don't know the answer. I just don't have a strong opinion.
Yeah, I don't think Jalen Hurts is that good. I was actually telling someone the other day that I would play Trey Lance in daily fantasy or in daily and seasonal over Jalen Hurts, despite this whole Jimmy G might play crap. That's ridiculous. We'll talk about that in a minute. That's not going to happen. So yeah, I'm with you. Where this is -3.5 at the Westgate, I have no interest, and neither does Rob. So this is a circa only play for us. Saints, Washington football team. Tyler has some interest in the football team. I get it. It's a 1 confidence though. I couldn't get behind it. If I had to make a pick, that's the way I would lean, but I'm not super confident.
Yeah, I mean, the Saints on the road, I get it. I also am not super confident. I feel like one of these days they're going to figure out that Alvin Kamara is still one of the best backs in the league. He had 0 targets last week. I feel like that's going to change this week. We'll see how this Washington defense adjusts. I just don't have a strong opinion here. I do know that on the road so far, the Saints offense and Jameis in general just has not been very good. That game against Carolina was one of the ugliest games ever. And so, yeah, I mean, if I were on a side, it would be Washington, but just not a strong play.
Yeah, I completely agree with you as well. All right, let's move on to the game where I think you guys are all being square as fuck. The Titans -4.5 against the Jaguars here. Rob, Jeff, you guys, come on. You know better than this, but go ahead. Tell me why I'm wrong.
Well, I think the Jaguars are a mess, first of all, and you have to take that into consideration. But basically, the players are in charge of the team of the reports that's coming out. Obviously, in the NFL, you don't have to buy that sort of stuff. I just don't think this Jaguars team is very good. They hold their own against the run game. I still think that doesn't bode well against Derrick Henry. And now the fact that I've got A.J. Brown playing in this game, I really would like Julio Jones too. Makes me feel good about this Tennessee team just throwing all over the Jaguars. I think this could be one of those massive Tannehill games. We haven't gotten one yet. Last 14 of 16 games, there's been a 100-yard receiver against the Jaguars. So the fact that I have the receivers back make me feel better. Go ahead and tell me why this Titans team is not going to erupt here, because I do think, A.J. Brown over 100 yards, Derrick Henry, big game. And, what are we to get from the Jaguars sort of game? I think the Titans should win this one pretty easily, but go ahead. I know you have a differing opinion here.
I just don't think that AJ Brown's healthy. I just don't think he's healthy. Straight up.
He was a full participant yesterday.
What did he do?
Don't worry.
It's practice. We've seen people be full participants, and you look at him in the first snap and you go, "Oh my God, that guy's not healthy."
it's not usually the full participants on Thursday that you get that from, but it's possible, I suppose. I mean, I'm not going to rule it out.
To me, I just don't know why. Like, to me, this is going to be one of those, it's one of the more popular games of the week. And I just think that, like, why are we taking a square play here? I don't think there's any edge in this game. I think that the Jaguars are free. Like, the players now can just basically do whatever they're darn well. Like, if they lose, it's Urban's fault. And if they win, they did it in spite of Urban. When you get to play pressure-free football, it's a completely different game. You saw it. Like, they played a great first half, and they put all this pressure on themselves in the second half of that Thursday night football game. 10 days of rest. Yeah, they've had some nonsense in there, but they're a more rested team. The Titans are still injury-riddled. And they played quite frankly terrible against the Jets, right? And it wasn't just the fact that they didn't have the receivers. They just haven't played good. They haven't played good most of the season. Where would this team be without that Derrick Henry second half in Seattle? Like, their season could be over. So they just haven't played a lot of good football this season. I just don't really have much of a feel for this one. I would rather stay away, but you guys like it, so I guess we're going to be playing. For example, the Jaguars money line's in my round robin underdog parlay. So, whatever. I guess we'll find out how that goes, but I'm not very confident here at all. But I can't say like I want to bet the Jaguars. I just would rather have stayed away. We already talked about the Lions, so let's move on to a game that I had to talk you on to. Broncos pick'em against the Steelers. Teddy Bridgewater expected to play. This closes -2 or -3, or 2.5. It's just the Broncos are the better team than the Steelers, period. And it's not particularly close.
Yeah, I would argue that the better team doesn't always win in the NFL, but I'm with you here. I think Ben Roethlisberger, I mean, it seems like everyone knows from like the meme of him like falling down trying to throw, like this is past your prime Ben Roethlisberger. They're lining up 3 receivers weekly and he just doesn't have the arm to sling it anymore. So the fact that they're playing, so many wideouts just doesn't actually work to their benefit anymore. This Broncos defense is pretty good. Teddy Bridgewater being back was a huge upgrade. The Steelers defense isn't quite as dominant as I think we thought it could be. I side with the Broncos. You convinced me, and it definitely got me off, one of the other bigger favorites, and I'm happy to be here. But yeah, I think all those points pretty much make themselves.
Yeah, completely agree. All right, let's move on to Packers. -3 against the Bengals. This will be the most popular pick in the entire contest. Tyler, you, Jeff, and Rob are on this. You were on it, then you moved off. Look, this is about as square as it gets, guy. Like, this is just as square as it gets. And I've been a huge Packers guy, but beating the Steelers by 20 doesn't really get you a whole lot of credit. You didn't play great in week 1. You didn't play great against the Lions. You kind of choked it away against a Niners team that we've kind of seen isn't that great with Jimmy G. I don't know. This feels like the books are trying to build a new tower and they want everybody to put their money on the Packers and they're happy to take the Bengals +3.
Yeah, I mean, so the Packers defense has looked better the last few weeks. And by look better, I mean, I guess the yardage, because they still allowed, like, it was 4 or 5 offensive, I think it was 4 offensive touchdowns to the 49ers. And then last week against the Steelers, who we talked about, are not the same. So, this defense through like the first 5-6 quarters looked like it could be one of the worst in the NFL. And maybe I'm overrating the sample from the past few games, because there's definitely a possibility that if we see this defense look like that. And by the way, isn't Jair Alexander's status kind of hanging in the
very unlikely to play?
So, I mean, Jamar Chase and the receivers could kind of go crazy here as well.
10 days of rest.
Exactly. I do kind of have second thoughts here that maybe my mind was looking at these stats and like, look, the Packers defense has looked improved. But then again, it's like the opponents haven't been great. So I think a Bengals offense that I've been higher on all year than, others. I've been wanting to bet the Bengals weekly. I don't know what I was thinking here. I've switched sides.
Yeah, we're not gonna win this argument, but I would like to at least have a conversation before I submit some picks here about this one, because I don't like it. It doesn't, Bengals have only allowed 18.8 points per game. this season. Their defense has been very underrated. And yeah, some of that's the schedule for sure. But, you know, they gave up a bunch of points to the Vikings in the second half when they were up 3 scores. You know, they played okay against the Bears. Like, they haven't had the bad defensive game, right? It's 24, 20, 10, 21. Like, they've been consistent. If they hold the Packers to 21, I think they win the game, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I just, you know, again, not the world's greatest offenses would be your argument, but this looks like a game Vegas is trying to make a stand on, or whatever. Not Vegas, you know what I mean. You could say like whatever the books are trying to do it, whatever you want to call it. But this is a stand game. This is going to be a public versus sharp game, and so we're just on the public side right now. And that never makes me feel very good because those casinos didn't get built with public money winning.
Right.
So yeah, not great. Pats minus 8.5 against the Texans. There's just no way I'm laying 8.5 in a 39 total. Just, I'm not doing it. I understand why. Rob actually had some interest where he lost a couple plays over at. So Rob didn't want to lay the 9.5 with the Vikings, but is happy to lay the 9 with the Patriots.
And he wants, and then he wants the other team in Survivor. You can text him.
No, I'm not. I'll make him watch the show. Are you kidding me? I feel like I spent half my week trying to get people to try to like make sure we didn't take the Vikings, and then he does this shenanigans. Get the hell out of here! Glad he's not here today. Jeez. I can't imagine doing this in the contest. I would rather just pick just about anything else on the board. So yeah, I like the Patriots. If I had to pick it, I would pick the Patriots minus the 9, but just it goes against every philosophy in my book to lay 8.5 or 9 in a 39 total. Like, that is just a shit ton of points to lay. All right, let's move on to the next game. I'm the only one having interest in this game. Bears plus 5.5 at the Raiders. I am on the Raiders here, minus the 5.5. Justin Fields is getting talked up like he's a god because he passed on the Lions a couple times. Newsflash, everyone has passed successfully against the Lions. If you couldn't pass against the Lions, that would be an issue. And by the way, it wasn't like he was perfect. He had some Justin Fields moments. This Raiders defense is good. They've got a pass rush with Max Crosby. I think this has got a 2-score game written all over it. I think this is kind of the one people are going to look back on and be like, wow, why didn't I just take the Raiders, under a touchdown here? I love this spot. I know it's only a 2 confidence, but that just speaks more to the Lions and Broncos love than like my Raiders opinion.
Yeah. So I think I don't have a strong opinion there, but I have been like since the show yesterday, refreshing to see these DST props because I do want to see the Max Crosby sack number here. I mean, Justin Fields is the king of holding the ball too long. And this team is number 1 in pass rush because Max Crosby's the number 1 graded pass rusher so far. I think he's going to sack him multiple times. And I agree. Like, I don't dislike Justin Fields. I definitely like him more than you do, but I don't understand, like, looking at last week, guy throws no touchdowns and thinking he's now like unbelievable.
Yeah. Like, he was 11 for 17 for 290 yards. Like, let's calm down.
Exactly. So I didn't have a strong opinion here, but the best bet that I'm looking for is basically almost any Crosby number. But I still haven't seen that. The only thing you can get for him is defensive player of the year and most sacks. By the way, defensive player 6,600 for him if you go to PointsBet, which I think is, relatively decent bet for a guy, but I just don't know if he's a big enough name.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest issue. We need the Raiders to really kind of win the AFC West to make that happen. But yeah. I like this spot for the Raiders at home here. I think this is a good spot. Yeah, I know the Bears fans are going to travel. I get it, but we've seen the Raiders fans show up for that stadium now. Like, I feel confident enough that even if like there are 5,000 or 6,000 away fans, it's like a soccer match. Like, it's still going to be dominated by Raiders fans. Like, the Raiders fans in California are just coming. So I wouldn't be too worried about like that home field. I feel pretty confident in it.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about another game that only you liked as well. Chargers -2 against the Browns. I'm with you. Baker looks hurt. And I think that's part of the reason why the Vikings number is inflated is because, like, oh, they held the Browns to 14 points. But you watch that game back, and Baker missed Odell on a 80-yard touchdown, which would have made the difference in my DFS week, like from being a big loser to being a winner. if he just throws a competent ball there, this is a bet against Baker Mayfield, right?
100%. I mean, the torn labrum, I just don't think this offense is going to be incredibly functional. I know the defense has looked pretty darn good, but I mean, I just have enough faith in Justin Herbert to beat an injured Baker Mayfield. It's really not that much more, complex than that.
Yep, I completely agree. I get this one. I do. It's not my top 5, but if I had to pick a side, this is the side I would pick as well. So I completely understand it as well. I don't have any arguments against it. Giants +7 at the Cowboys. Nobody's interested in this one. That number looks just about right. Like if before the Giants win, it probably would have been 7.5. And since the Giants won at the Saints, it's now 8 or it's now 7. But would lean Cowboys, but there's no way in hell I would pick it.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the main event in terms of disagreements. It's the 49ers at the Cardinals here. 49ers in the contest, we're getting 5.5. This number has already moved to 4.5. I am the one on the 49ers. Rob and Jeff are on the Cardinals. I'm disappointed in Rob. Rob, this is the exact same spot that 7 days ago, Rob played the Cardinals at the Rams +4.5. And it's the exact same spot. Like you have an underrated NFC, like an NFC West team that's good at its lowest value going up against a team that's at its highest value. This is the 49ers are getting a quarterback upgrade this week. Like I have Trey Lance as 1.5 better than Jimmy G. So we're getting a quarterback upgrade going up against a defense that has shown an ability to give up big plays in the passing game. That's how the Vikings even hung around, was big plays in the passing game. And sure, the Rams never got that chance last week because they got themselves behind the 8 ball. But this Niners defense is better than that Rams defense. The Niners defense is not their problem. It's been the offense with Jimmy G. And Trey Lance, read option, deep passes to Samuel, to Ayuk. I think this is a great spot. I think this is going to be the best game of the week. But I like the Niners to win this game outright. And so I put 5 confidence on this. And I'm really disappointed in Rob. I thought Rob would be with me on this one. I get it. I like Arizona. This is a bad spot, though. I mean, they're going to get the first look of all the Trey Lance toys that they've been building now for 2 months.
Yeah, I don't have a strong opinion here. I guess Trey Lance, not your average rookie quarterback, doesn't look, nearly as lost as Justin Fields has at times. I didn't want to be a part of this argument. So I think you've said all that needs to be said here. I stayed out intentionally. I didn't even see that people had, chosen it, but I kind of had similar feelings to you, but I like the Cardinals. So the inner conflict was just like, all right, let's pick a different game.
Yeah. I feel very strongly about this. This is in my underdog round robin parlay, which you can find over at Elite Sports Betting. This is a game I feel very confident in. The Niners are going to win this game. Now, if they do some stupid shit and like Jimmy G is a last minute play, then yeah, okay, I'm going to hate this play, right? I absolutely I will hate if they try to play Jimmy G, I'll hate it. But that just feels like a half-ass smoke screen. So they have to pretend to, prepare for him. Right.
Yeah.
Like Jimmy G said he was going to be out for 2 to 3 weeks. And then like, you could tell Shanahan was pissed right away. This screams that they're just, this is a facade. I imagine he's going to practice limited today because it's Friday and it's a walkthrough day. So they'll just be like, put the intrigue in, be like, oh, he was limited. He might play. And then we'll find out like midday Saturday, like, no, he's not playing. Kind of like the Gronk. Remember the Gronk thing last week where he was limited on Friday and people were like, oh, he's going to play. And then it's midday Saturday, like, yeah, no, he's out. I feel like that's where we're heading to. Like I plan on playing 100% Lance and DFS this week too. So we'll see how this goes.
Interesting.
Yeah, I finished my quarterback section. It's 100% Trey Lance because the field's going to be on him. Like I acknowledge that, but I want Trey Lance by himself. I want Trey Lance with Kittle. I want Trey Lance with Samuel. And Trey Lance is gonna not lose the slate for me. He's just got such a floor. He put up 20 points and a half. Like, he's just gonna put up points. It's like 70% of Kyler Murray for half the price.
It's a shame you're gonna miss Ryan Tannehill week, but besides that,
Ryan Tannehill week, yeah, good luck with that. I literally just cut him in a high stakes league to play Trey Lance this week. And I wasn't the one doing it. My partner's like, we really should cut Tannehill. He sucks. And because we're going to play Trey Lance anyways. And I was like, great. Sounds like a plan to me. Bills plus 2.5 at the Chiefs. I actually would, seeing the Chiefs injury report that just came out, I actually would probably have some interest in the Chiefs if anyone else would wanted to play them. But seeing that nobody else did, I can't really. I like the Chiefs now. Like, it looks like they're going to have everybody back other than Frank Clark, which is just a lot of improvements to their defense. They were playing a pretty watered down unit last week. But again, nobody else wants to touch it, so fine by me.
That's one of the ones I moved to go to the Broncos. I would definitely be on board with Kansas City here. The run defense is a little scary, but this is a team that doesn't really care to run the ball other than with Josh Allen very much. So I think this should be a high-scoring game, but I do feel confident that Kansas City comes out of top here, but I was surprised to see no one else was on them.
Yeah, and I'm really surprised by the next game. This next one's a mistake. Colts plus 7 at the Ravens here. Guys, the Ravens aren't that good. What have the Ravens done to show us that they're a good football team? Like, I get it. They went into Denver and it looked nice, but that was a perfect matchup for them. Like, they were going to jam the box, and Teddy Bridgewater isn't going to beat you deep enough to worry. And then they got up, and then it was Drew Lock, and Drew Lock was just getting murdered because they were blitzing 7 every time, and the Broncos couldn't block anybody. This is a different story, though. The Colts are better on the offensive line. We saw them play a really good game last week against the Dolphins. The Colts and Ravens, like, you got to remember, like, Indy is still, like, the Colts Ravens thing is going to be real forever and ever and ever. I don't know. I don't like this spot at all, but we're going to be playing Ravens minus 7. The line's moved in my favor, but we're playing the Ravens, I guess.
Yeah, they're not a great football team.
Laying the full 7 is just so gross. We have to win by 2 scores.
Right.
Ugh. Whatever. I'm just not happy about it.
Yeah. I mean, not that Indy's been overly impressive, but yeah.
I mean, they've been better though. Like, yeah, they've been injury riddled, but man, they look better. I don't know. They're one of the teams that I just think is better than their record. Like, we kind of saw exactly what I expected from them last week against the Dolphins. They went in there and they kicked ass.
I think a pretty strong piece of evidence in your favor is the fact that this Ravens defense has been such a poor tackling defense against the Colts team that would really prefer to run it down your throat with Jonathan Taylor, who's questionable, but I think he's going to play. If they are able to run the ball with relative ease, then this defense is going to be in trouble, and laying a full 7 is going to be in trouble.
Yeah, it's just like we're getting, like, they've had a really tough first 3 games. Seahawks, Rams, and at Titans. Like, that's a brutal start to the season. And it's like, that was the healthy Titans. That wasn't the watered down version that lost to the Jets. So, yeah, I just, coming on a road win, I don't know. I think this team's undervalued. I make this 4. Actually, no, I make it 4.5. Hold on. Yeah, I make it 4.5. So, yeah, if it was 6.5, I just get it. But having to win by 2 scores just feels like a lot. But we're playing it, so get on board or shut up, right? Look at Rob, the supposed sharp, taking 5 favorites. Unbelievable. All right. I think we had him on tilt from the Vikings. That's what he'll probably tell us. All right, so the plays it looks like we're going to have this week. Ravens, Titans. I really would like to at least have a conversation on the Packers before we lock them in, but Packers probably. And then at least we'll get our Broncos and Lions. That's kind of what it looks like. We'll probably mix in some Panthers as well.
Yeah.
God, I would really like to have a conversation on the Packers, but whatever. I'm going to see if I can find a way to not. I don't want to go all in on all three if we can find a way to avoid that.
Yeah, no, I think we should mix and match some of these favorites and get some dogs in there.
Why don't you be the one to mention that in the chat so it doesn't look like I'm doing it like this time?
Okay.
All right,
I can do that.
Awesome. Sounds like a plan. And since no one will watch the show, they won't know what we're up to. So it'll be perfect. As always, guys, we'll post our final picks over at Elite Sports Betting. Should note, though, last week, best week of the season. We had a very good week last week. Went 4-1, 4-1, 3-2, and 4-1. So the only loser was Tampa, which is I begged people to not play Tampa last week, but I got outvoted. I knew that was a mistake. Tyler, with your 5 confidence, calling you out. Let's see. How did I do last week? I had the Panthers. Yeah, that didn't work out. Seahawks, that was a winner. Ravens, that was a winner. Packers was a winner. And then I lost on the Raiders. Yeah, the Raiders game was not good. That's all right, though. My 5-4 confidence were winners. That's always a good start. That's a good week. We'll take that. 3-2. With the most confident games winners. So, so Survivor Patriots, nice blowout. Let's get a nice quick blowout there, and then we can root for the Lions to knock out a lot of the field. Anything else you want to mention before we get out of here?
I'm on Twitter, and Zach Wilson is having a nice press conference in London next to what looks like a greenhouse. It kind of reminds me of that Four Seasons landscaping. Do you remember that press conference that we got from like Rudy Giuliani? I'll send you the picture. But I think this just boosts my confidence in the Jets. If Zach Wilson can look this professional with this backdrop, he's going to be okay.
Oh, good Lord, Ricky. You just posted it in our let's see if I at least pull this up. We'll post a link to this below the video when we post it. Thanks to Sean for moving this up to produce this a little early for us. Ricky, thank you for moving it as well. And with that, guys, he's Ricky. I'm CJ. Let's try to do another 4-1 week without Rob on Bet 'em and Pick 'em. We'll see you for week 6.